This 8-step abandoned checkout flow has generated over $80,000 for one of our clients over the last year. And today I'll be explaining exactly what the flow is, why it works, how it works, and how you can implement it into your Klaviyo. So let's log into the Klaviyo account and go over it. Okay, so we're in the Klaviyo account, and the first thing I wanted to show you is just the data breakdown. So if we're going through the flow, we can see the first email generated 35,500, and then we have some SMS messages down here that generated a couple grand. And then we go down to the second email, which is 4,600, 4,700, and then the third email, $28,000, and then the last email almost like 8,800 or $8,020. So a lot of revenue being captured by potential abandoned checkouts. Before we get into the weeds here, I did want to preface that majority of the time when we audit the abandoned checkout flow for some of the clients that we're going to be working with, I noticed that a lot of meat is left on the table, meaning most of the revenue actually comes in from the first abandoned checkout email. And then they usually have 2 to 3, maybe extra 4 emails in there. And those emails generate maybe 1% to 5% of the rest of the revenue. So again, majority of it is coming in from that first email. And then those 2 to 3 emails don't really do much else aside from just following up. Now, the reason behind that is a lot of the brands that we audit, they just keep saying discount, discount, discount. Your card's still discounted. Everything is a discount. They're essentially negging the customer instead of objection handling and providing value on what their product provides and any objections that the customer might have around the product, the company, and everything else in between. And I challenge you, the viewer, to think back to the last time that you were interested in a product but didn't really think it was a fit for you. Did the discount codes actually help drive the purchase, or finding out more information about the brand, finding out more information about the product actually help convert? All that to say is, no matter how many discounts you throw at the customer, they're not going to buy because of the discount. They're gonna buy because of the belief. Now, that said, let's go through the actual step-by-step on why this flow works really, really well and what we actually do to make it work really well. So let's start at the top with the trigger. So first thing, obviously, starts with a checkout started trigger. Now over here, it's pretty standard, but we do a lot of filtering. So number 1, placed order 0 times. Obviously you want to do that, but we have specific segments set up along the way for suspicious activity, so suspicious profiles, bounced emails, and potentially spam emails. This reduces the amount of domain fatigue that we experience as we send out emails to all these people that are cold. So that means we're sending emails to people that are actually verified and people that aren't going to tarnish our domain reputation when we send out these emails. So now after that, we have a conditional split, and this split is basically, have they subscribed to the list in the last 3 hours? Meaning, have they been through this flow in the last 3 hours? So if they have, we want to exclude those people or give them extra time so that way we're not barraging them with abandoned checkout email. So if they've abandoned checkout 5 different times over the course of an hour, we don't want to spam them. So we want to reduce the amount of times that we're sending out emails that may not get the result that we're looking for. And if we send out all these emails, we're going to have a lower open rate, we're going to have a lower click-through rate, and a lower revenue per recipient rate as well. So the data is going to get muddier. So after that, we do have a split. So if they have, we give them an extra 30 minutes before we do the actual email. And if not, we wait an extra few hours. If they have not received an email, they wait 30 minutes. If they have received an email, we give them an extra hour. And even then, we have another subsequent filter on here for if they've opened an email or if they've subscribed to our list even longer than that. So that timing is very, very important, because otherwise, if they haven't been on the list, we want to send out the email immediately. If they have, then we can give it a little bit more time, so that way, again, we're not spamming them. Moving on, we have that first abandoned checkout email, and the subject line is just very, very simple and a little cheeky, where it's, your cart is waiting. And this just gets people's eyes open, because it's not the standard of like, you left your cart open, or hey, come back to your cart, you abandoned it. So it's a little bit better messaging, and it stands out from the crowd. So we have a 3.5% placed order rate, 35K bringing in on this first email in the last 365 days. We did have to skip some profiles, meaning the people that were in the flow before, we had to skip them to the further delayed messages. Now we have another split of following up with SMS. So we have can receive SMS. So if they can can receive SMS, which is about 21% of the list, we send them an SMS follow-up to check in. So if they didn't buy from the email, we then want to bump it up with an SMS message. Now, if they're not on our SMS list, then we will just skip them entirely. We wait an extra day, and then they go back to the rest of the flow down here for the second email. But if they can receive SMS, we then split it up even further. Again, have they received an SMS message in the last 24 hours? If they have, then we give it an extra day because we don't want to barrage people with an SMS message. But if they haven't received one, then we go through and just send it out 15 minutes later. About 34% of people have not received an SMS and about 65% have. So this extra filter actually helps not only keep your SMS sender reputation high, but also doesn't spam your customers and subscribers with potential texts that sometimes are irrelevant. So once we split this up, we even have one last split before we send out the SMS message. Have they made an order with us before? If they have, they don't get a discount. If they haven't, then they get an SMS specialty discount before we even bring up any more email discounts. So they do get an extra discount, but even then you can see if they've shopped with us before, they're more likely to buy here. So we have like more revenue coming in here from the discount. Going back to the point that it's all about brand and product belief over just sending out discounts. Now on the other side, we do have this other SMS message that goes out a day later, and we had to have a lot of these profiles skipped over the time because it didn't make sense to send, or at the same time we've already sent out an SMS message, so they already got skipped. But after that, we go ahead and wait 15 minutes or wait a day, so we want to make sure that everything is lined up correctly with the timing. We go to abandon checkout 2. Reviews are in and they are 5 stars. So this again stands out because we have emojis, they're relevant, and it bypasses the confusion behind the product. So if they're not sure on whether the brand is legit or what customer experiences are, we actually spoon feed them information about the business and about previous customer experiences, because that only helps build trust. It breaks down some of the objections through the testimonials that we strategically pick, and it helps convert a lot more customers that may have straggled over from the first email. So we have the placed order rate down here. So we have about almost $5,000 brought in. Click rate, open rate, pretty healthy. Moving on to the third email, which is about a day later. So as you can see here, we have email number 1 being sent out either 30 minutes or 3 hours, and then SMS a day later. And then a day after that is the second email. And then a day after that is the third email. So we have all these 4 steps that are there communicating, trying to convert the customer over the initial 4-day period. So in this third email, that's when we start to introduce a discount. We want to hold off on discounting on email for the first 2 to 3 emails because they're going to convert regardless. But when they're stuck on it, maybe it's the pricing, that's when we start to introduce a discount, because then it's a pricing issue. So here we say your cart price is dropped. So instead of saying get 20% off your cart or get 10% off your cart, get free shipping with your cart, come back to your cart and get 20% off. We keep it simple, like, hey, your cart's price has dropped. We're keeping it casual, but also signifying that like, hey, they're gonna get a discount. So we do have a higher open rate than the previous email, number 1. Number 2, we have a significantly higher placed order rate. So 27,000 or actually 28,000 here instead of 4,000 or 4,500 in the previous email. And we have way more engagement here because people may have been stuck on the price. They've seen all the objection handling, but here is now the price being the last objection. Now after that, we give it a week. We followed up with them every single day to purchase, and now we give them a week because then it's like, okay, maybe they're waiting for their paycheck, maybe they need a little bit extra time to think about it, maybe the timing is just not right. So we give it 7 days, and this is one of my favorite subject lines to use. Reorder #DIN102 is waiting. So this sounds very, very professional, almost like you've already ordered the product. So when you usually get a customer support email, you usually have the tag for the order number. So it almost sounds like they've already bought, but they haven't. So it's almost like a Trojan horse type approach. And in this case, it's like, hey, order number is waiting. So it's like, what are they waiting on? It's like, did I already order it? Do I need to submit something? But then it's a reminder that like, hey, you left this in checkout. You need to go back and purchase it. So in this case, we still have a very healthy open rate, very healthy click rate, and a placed order rate that still recoups an extra $8,000 at the end. Whereas most flows just have like maybe $30 as the last email. Now that's pretty much it. You can now see exactly why our abandoned checkout flow performs the way that it does, and that's because of strategic placement of not only messaging, the timing, and the segmentation that goes all around it to make sure that the messaging is as consistent as possible with the rest of the system. Now, again, abandoned checkout is just one part of a 4-part series where you have abandoned checkout, abandoned cart, abandoned browse, abandoned site. So even if it does seem like abandoned checkout revenue is low, it's because the other 3 flows are picking up the slack on all different fronts, whether they view the product, whether they added to cart, or whether they just viewed the website. So if you liked the video, hit that like button. If you have any questions on how this is set up, drop them down in the comments. I'd be happy to answer and troubleshoot. And if you want to see more videos like this on a weekly basis, hit subscribe down below. And if you want us to implement this into your business, hit the link down below for the free audit, and we'll look at all your flows, your campaigns, and your entire email structure and tell you exactly the best route that you need to take in order to maximize the revenue that you have coming in from your brand. That being said, YouTube thinks you're gonna love this video right here, so go ahead and check that out afterwards. I'm Nikita, and I'll see you in the next one.